London Heathrow, host to 78 million passengers, nearly 500,000 flights, and one very unusual animal reception centre. Animals passing through Heathrow come here to be checked in.
Oh, he's really cute.
Also known as the Ark, it's equipped to welcome almost any species through its doors.
Its feet are massive, not that big.
From reptiles and livestock to pets and predators. It's up to the Ark to make sure everyone is clear to enter the country.
Oh, textbook, Dan, textbook.
More than 200,000 animals passed through last year alone. And its dedicated team of over 40 staff are on hand every hour of every day.
Where's your water pot?
And are always prepared to expect the unexpected.
Ooh.
Today on Animal Airport.
You are exceptionally tiny.
A puppy from Russia is raising suspicions.
If the paperwork says that it is 15 weeks, and we can clearly see the puppy isn't 15 weeks, then there's something very wrong here.
A king vulture is losing his temper.
He's probably been boxed up like probably 16 hours now, so he's probably just desperate to get out.
And a fun-loving ferret is keen to escape on the tarmac.
Ferret looks like he's trying to get out. There's a little hole down the side, so straight back to the Ark.
No matter how dangerous, how rare, how big, or how small, the Animal Reception Centre is one of only 4 border posts in the whole of Europe that can handle almost any creature. And the latest animal traveller is a young king vulture that's come from Johannesburg in South Africa.
I've worked at the animal reception for about 23, 24 years. I've probably seen maybe 2 king vultures in the whole time I've been working here, and that's a long time.
Animal Health Officer Lisa is on duty to get this impressive bird of prey processed.
Hello, sweetheart.
But something doesn't seem quite right.
I know. I can't see or hear anything. Yes, please. I'm just going to get a trolley.
Oh, it's definitely alive. And not very happy.
King vultures are native to Central and South America and are known for their colourful heads and necks. And this one, on its way to Cornwall, isn't very cheerful.
All right. It's not my fault. Ooh. He sounds pretty peed off. He's stressed anyway. You don't really want to get birds stressed even more. We'll put him in a quiet area, away from all the dogs and cats' noises. And then we'll keep checking on him, maybe every half an hour, just to make sure he's all right and not too overly stressed.
The centre is always busy, so it's a constant juggling act to find enough space for new arrivals. And today is no exception.
Okie dokie. We are limited spaces right now, so I'm going to get the guys to clear out this room, and then I can put the birds in here. That's all I have at the moment, but it's ventilated. It will be quiet because I don't have many dogs down here right now.
Putting birds in ventilated rooms is important because of the airborne diseases they could carry, such as avian influenza.
I put the ventilation on in the room. I'm just going to have another peek to make sure the king vulture is okay. So I don't like it to stress it out too much. Hello. Yeah, it's moving, so it's fine.
King vultures can also carry Newcastle disease, a deadly respiratory infection which can spread to other birds like chickens. The team won't be able to confirm the bird is healthy until its ID is checked, and that will involve reading a microchip under its skin. Not an easy job with a moody vulture.
It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be fun for the bird. So we're going to wait for a deputy manager to come in and help us because we don't want to take any chances.
All dogs that travel to the UK must be vaccinated against rabies to keep the country free from the disease.
Oh my goodness. That really is the smallest pom I think I've ever seen.
Dogs also have to be old enough to travel, and Animal Health Inspector Deborah isn't sure about this Pomeranian puppy from Russia.
This has been brought to my attention, so we thought we'd come over and have a look at it. So sometimes we get puppies here that look a little bit suspicious, as though they might not be 15 weeks. We'll take them out the box and have a little examine. All right then, little doggy, let's have a look at you.
Puppies must be at least 15 weeks old to enter the UK.
Hello, come on then. You are exceptionally tiny.
Vet Monica's been called in to try and work out how old this puppy is.
There is a welfare consideration because they are
Yes.
separated from the mother far too early, so they're not receiving all the interaction from the mother.
A young puppy can be a greater rabies risk.
The vaccination, if it's given too early, is not effective, and if it's given before 12 weeks, then is not doing his work.
Concerned about rabies and the puppy's welfare, Monica and Deborah carry out a few tests to figure out how old she is.
So we're just going to do a little dentition check, and it's got the tiniest baby teeth. That's probably the tiniest teeth I've seen. Just do a little menace response test, which means that the puppy will close its eyes if something's coming towards it, and it only gets that reflex, that response at a certain age. So we'll have a go. I don't know, what do you think? You have a little look and see.
The puppy hardly blinks.
They typically get that response, the menace response, at about 10 to 12 weeks. So that would indicate that it's probably under 10 weeks.
If it's decided she's too young to travel, the puppy will have to go straight to quarantine to be revaccinated.
But if the paperwork says that it is 15 weeks, and we can clearly see the puppy isn't 15 weeks, then there's something very wrong here. You're quite lively, aren't you?
As this is the smallest pom pup Deborah has ever seen, she also decides to take some photos and weigh her.
We're trying to illustrate the size of the dog. This is good for training for other officers, just to demonstrate really the tininess of the dog.
375.
The puppy will stay here while the team wait for a second opinion on her age. Only then will her future be decided. While human travellers use the 4 airport terminals to continue their journeys, all animal travellers are chauffeur-driven, directly from their plane to the centre. Today, Animal Health Officer Lisa is on her way to pick up some new arrivals from Vancouver.
I have one dog, 2 cats, and a ferret. That could be my flight. So I'm going to head down to the stand and sit and wait for that flight to come. So we have 5 vehicles. They are constantly out because our first flight starts about 4:30 in the morning. Last flight can be 10:30, 11 o'clock, so we're out constantly bringing animals back and forth.
Even though Lisa's worked at the Ark for more than 2 decades, the rules of the runway are still daunting.
You can't cross those lines over there. Double lines there, you're not allowed to cross that. You have to make sure there's no aircrafts around. And it is just really scary sometimes. There is so much to learn. It's not just about just driving. All the years that I've worked here, it still fascinates me.
During her hundreds of hours on the tarmac, Lisa's learned all sorts.
Above each stand, right in front of the pilot, it will tell him how far to come. There you go. 7, 6, 5. There you go. Stop. Welcome to England, where it's really cold and cloudy. Finally on stand.
Cats Merlin and Tommy and their ferret friend Margot have arrived safely.
Margot!
And Margot, it seems, is particularly keen to explore.
Trying to escape.
Ferret looks like he's trying to get out. I need to get him back pretty quickly because there's a little hole down the side. So, straight back to the ark.
The centre is the biggest animal border post in the UK, with different areas for the various creatures in transit. In the bird wing, the young king vulture is waiting for Deputy Manager Ross to check its ID before it can be cleared through customs.
When you think of a vulture, people usually think, you know, they see them in the movies or cartoons and they're quite ugly looking, horrible looking thing. But king vultures, you know, they're probably the prettiest vulture. They have a nice like orange wattle, etc. on the top of their head. So yeah, they're quite pretty looking compared to most birds of prey.
No matter how good looking it is, the vulture could still pose a disease risk. So checking its ID is Ross's priority. And that can only be done by hand.
It's got a microchip, and for the majority of birds that's found in the breastbone area. I've just heard from the team that he's not the friendliest chap in the world.
Ross has brought along some of the apprentices to watch, as dealing with potentially aggressive animals is a vital part of their training.
I'll just go through the bottom, see if you can just do that for us. Yeah, get it right there.
The king vulture isn't cooperating.
So the chip reader's not finding that one. Different manufactured chips, you know, require a different chip reader. So we might just have to use a different chip reader, that's all.
The bird's claws and powerful beak are used in the wild to tear open the animal carcasses that they feed on. So Ross has to approach with caution.
You know, it's quite a stressful condition anyway, so he's come on a long flight from Joburg. So he's probably been boxed up like probably 16 hours now, so he's probably just desperate to get out. Oh mate, sorry, I know.
Still no luck. So Ross tries a third chip reader. And finally strikes it lucky.
So got it. I was 2 seconds away from giving up the will to live then. Yeah, it's important to remember some microchips are like, you know, small tiny grain of rice made of glass. So, you know, they can move around the body, they can break. So these are all things you need to consider when you're doing it.
Now the tricky bit is done. The ID number on the microchip can be checked with the bird's travel health certificate. It shows that it's been inspected for Newcastle disease and isn't carrying avian influenza.
All fine with him now, no issues with this bird. The paperwork gets processed by the state vets, clears through customs, and it goes from there.
In the Animal Reception Centre's dog wing, the Pomeranian puppy from Russia is about to get a much-needed meal as it waits for a second opinion on its age.
Add a bit of water to it, almost like soupy, because she's barely got any teeth to cope with eating anything. You know, this dog's travelled a considerable distance and hasn't had any food during that time. It's really not good for such tiny puppies. She needs to be kept warm, because when they're so tiny, they get sort of drastic drops in blood sugar level. So lots of frequent meals, so she probably needs feeding maybe 6 times a day. There'll be somebody that's probably quite upset that they can't have their puppy straight away. That's how it is, unfortunately. We have seen a lot of small ones, but this is on a different level.
Vet Jen has arrived to give her assessment on whether the pup was too young to fly or to be properly vaccinated against rabies.
It looks like he's got permanent molars. It's really hard to tell. It's really tricky. It's not something we can definitively say, like, yes, definitely. So obviously we look at the teeth, we look at where, if they have any permanent teeth, how have the teeth erupted from the gum line, how far they've erupted. Looking at his set of teeth, he's got a couple that look permanent. So that would set him older than, I would say, 2-3 months. But it's really tricky because he's such a small puppy.
Since the puppy's age is still unclear, it's likely she'll have to spend some time in quarantine. In the loading bay, Animal Health Officer Lisa has arrived with a ferret called Margot that's intent on escaping.
Hello. 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 As you can see, I'm going to put my fingers in there. He's had a little gnaw here. And yeah, you're trying to get out.
Ferrets are agile and need space to explore in order to stay healthy. So after a 9-hour flight, Lisa wants to get Margot out of her cage as soon as possible.
Yeah, a little bit stinky winky.
Waiting in reception is owner Razma, who's been apart from her pets for more than 24 hours.
We had to drop them off about 12 hours ahead of our flight time. So knowing that we had to drop them off, say goodbye, go away, check in ourselves, get on a different part of the plane, and then we were also prepared for either a 5 to 8 hour clearance time this side. So it's been really long.
It's not over yet. Margot and her travelling companions still need to have their microchips and paperwork checked to make sure they're free from rabies before entering the UK.
Come in. I've got to read her. There she is. She's fine. She's absolutely really sweet. She went straight in, had some water. She's having a sniff around now. So, hello, sweetie. She's really sweet. I think maybe this year I've seen about 2, 3. Don't really see that many.
Although they're quite rare in the UK as pets, ferrets have been kept in homes and as working animals for 2,000 years.
They will get into anything, they will climb, they will dig their way through things. If you have an outdoor cage, you need to have netting underneath. Eating, sleeping, and then scrabbling, I think is the third favourite thing to do.
Razma is such a big fan, she's kept ferrets on and off for 30 years.
I've had Margot 4 years now. Probably one of the most well-behaved ferrets I've ever had, and I've had a lot. I've done rehabbing, I've done breeding, and she's just, yeah, she's got a real personality. She's kind of a good practice guide for ferret owners.
All happy now, having a good old munch on the food and had something to eat. So I'm going to leave them in peace. It's nice and quiet down here, and so they can get some chill time while I do their paperwork.
Four hours later, the trio is reunited with Razma, and Margot the ferret is once more trying to escape her cage.
I had a feeling that out of all of the three of them, she'd be the like, okay, let's go, let's do this thing. It's time for us to all go home to bed.
The majority of pets who come to the Ark are soon on their way. But some have to stay a little longer than planned, like the Pomeranian pup from Russia. Supervisor Kaylee is overseeing the puppy's stay while a decision is made on her future.
So we moved the Pom into a smaller kennel just to give it a bit more warmth and also to free up space for other dogs that were coming in, so the larger dogs that need the kennel space. It was a shock because I remember everyone telling me the Pom was small. And you think, oh yeah, we've seen loads of small Poms, we're used to it, it's fine. And then I went over, I didn't realise how actually small this Pom was. I've never seen anything as small as that here. So I'm just checking her over, still in good condition. Still happy, healthy? Yeah, very tiny. She's so small, needs a lot of care and attention.
After a good feed and lots of rest, the pup is in a more lively mood.
Very playful. He's really quick. Seriously, stay. Or not. Eat the food. Eat the food. What's this? Can you not do that? I'm trying to distract her. Can you not eat food? But she's too quick for me. Okay. So, let's close this door a bit. No. In we go.
As they can't be certain about her age, they've decided to play it safe and get her revaccinated for rabies.
The puppy will now go to quarantine. It will be assessed by the quarantine vet and will receive a rabies vaccination, and then 3 weeks later, 21 days, it can be released from quarantine.
Us just being safe, I guess. It's not us being too strict, it's just wanting to make sure the puppies and the animals are compliant. We can't generalise and say, oh, it's just a mistake, it's fine, we have to be sure.
So it's time for the Pom pup to leave the ark.
Now the forms are all done, I can let the agent know. They can sort out the customs clearance and get this dog to the quarantine as soon as possible. Go on in.
While she's in quarantine, the new rabies vaccination will kick in. And only then can the pint-sized pup be united with her new family. The King Vulture had a clean bill of health and carried on to its final destination in Cornwall. Margot the ferret is exploring to her heart's content in her new Sussex home. And the little Pom pup left quarantine after 3 weeks and finally joined her new owners.